Hey guys, over here, and today bringing you an F1 2014 game video, and today we're going to be discussing fuel and how to save fuel in this game, how to save it efficiently and still go fast while saving fuel. This will be an important factor for everyone doing their career mode or online racing on F1 2014, so I really hope this is useful to you guys for in the future. So if you didn't see the video I posted earlier today on my channel, you can click my channel name below under the video to go see it. It was a 100% race. And during the race, I had to save fuel. I was -2 at one point, and I really had to save fuel. And that got me thinking on how I can save fuel. Does lifting and coasting work on this game? Obviously, in real life, the drivers lift and coast. They use lower revs, and they're generally being a lot more economical in terms of the way they drive to save fuel. And I was wondering if they have that in the game. I emailed Codemasters, talked to the Codemasters devs guys, and they've told me that you can lift and coast in this game. It will help. It also helps to use lower revs, higher gears, and that there is a sweet spot to be found between saving fuel and going fast. So that's really great to hear that there is fuel sim, and in today's video here today on my channel, we're going to be finding that sweet spot and also kind of testing and seeing how the different fuel saving mechanisms work and how effectively they work for you, and hopefully that will help you guys during career mode and your league races to come. Now today we're here at the Spanish Grand Prix here at Catalonia. Now before I get on to the actual test we're going to do, it's important to learn how the engine works on this year's car and this year's game. So in the game right now, if you are, say, going down a straight and you're revving up, obviously you have the lights that rev up on the hood in the bottom right, and on the steering wheel they go, they have the red, red, green, and purple colors. And when we get to the purple last three lights, that's generally when you're meant to shift up. At least that was the case on F1 2013, because that was the rev limit. But on this year's game, basically like real life, you can go up to 15,000 RPM. That's what the cars are allowed to go up to. But the teams would rather the drivers run it in about 12,000 to 11,000 RPM, because that's the best way they can get best fuel efficiency. So on the game, the rev limiter, the rev limit lights shine up at about 12,000 revs, but you can keep on accelerating and you won't get stuck on a rev limit for a while, because you can go up to 15,000. Now if you go up to 15,000, you're going to be burning a lot more fuel, but you're also going to be going faster. So that's an important thing to note. I'll just show you a little gameplay right now. Now listen out for the audio on these two runs. On the first run, I'm going to be going right to the rev limit, the audible rev limit, so you can hear me going past the, the lights are flickering, but I'm still listening for the engine to go up to the rev limit, and then I'm going to, change up. And then on the second run, I'm going to hit the beeps, like we've seen in real life. A lot of engineers tell their drivers to hit the beeps. That's because they program the rev limiter beeps to be at a place where they're saving fuel or where they want it for the engine map. So on the second run, I hit the beeps instead. Don't go past don't go past when the rev limiter lights go on, and that's a difference in between how you can drive in terms of the engine. So I'll show you guys that now. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the two laps. Hopefully you could tell the difference between those two laps. On one lap, I was hitting the beeps, hitting the rev limiter in terms of when the lights went on the hood and on purple, I immediately changed up. And then on the other lap, I was going past the rev limiter. So when it got to the purple lights, I was ignoring it and just listening to the engine until it got to 15,000 RPM. So essentially, I hope you guys understand that on the hood, on the rev, when it goes up to the theoretical rev limiter, it's not actually limited. That's just the 12,000 rev limit the car wants you to go at to try and be fuel efficient and be okay during the race. But you can go much further than that, up to 15,000 RPM, and accelerate faster. So that's how you're actually going to get fast lap time during qualifying, by ignoring the hood and the rev lights on your steering wheel. So we got past that bit, that crucial part of learning about how the engine works on this year's game. Now we're going to talk about the tests we're going to do in this video and see what we're going to learn. So we're going to be doing 4 laps today, and all laps will be on lean mix around Catalonia. We're going to be fueling the car for 3 laps laps, we're going to be going to lean mix, and we're going to see how far we can get on 3 laps worth of fuel. The first lap, we're going to be pushing as hard as we can, but in lean mix. So essentially what we'd be doing on F1 2013 in last year's game. In last year's game, when you wanted to save fuel, you put it in lean mix, but you still pushed as hard as you wanted to try and get as much lap time, but you're saving fuel at the same time because the lean mix helps you do that. But on this year's game, theoretically, it should be a bit different. It shouldn't be the best way to save fuel and go fast in terms of, kind of getting that balance. The second lap will be saving completely. We'll be lifting and coasting. We'll be using higher gears. We'll be, short shifting and using lower revs, and also obviously still in lean mix. So that will be, theoretically, we'll get the furthest on that run, in that second run. The third run, we're going to be basically lifting and coasting, but we're going to be using all the revs. We're going to be using, whatever gears we want. We're just going to be lifting and coasting while in lean mix. So we'll see how effective just lifting, coasting by its own is on this game. And then the fourth lap, we're not going to be doing lifting and coasting. We're going to brake normally for the corners, but instead we're going to be using lower revs. We're going to be using the actual upshifts on the hood and on our steering wheel. We're going to upshift on the purple lights instead of going past it to 15,000 RPM. So those will be the 4 different kind of laps that we're going to be doing and testing here, and then we'll see how far we got on each lap around Catalonia and what were the respective lap times, and then we can come to a conclusion on what the most efficient way to save fuel but go fast is on this game, and hopefully that will help you guys in career mode and whatever league racing or online racing you're doing in the future on this game. So let's get straight into it with the first lap, which is all out pushing on lean mix. So here we go, this is the first lap of our test. Now this test run obviously is the one where we're going to be pushing flat out. We're going to be on lean mix the entire time, but we're essentially going to drive like, like we did back in F1 2013 when we wanted to save fuel, just going to push to the max. We're going to go past that 10,000 rev limit on the hood and on the steering wheel lights. We're going to push past it. We're going to audibly hear the rev limit on 15,000 RPM and change up then. We're going to be doing no lifting or coasting. We're going to be braking normally, and we're going to see how far we can get on 3 laps worth of fuel. We're going to be pushing max out. So theoretically, this should be, the fastest way round the track, but obviously we're going to get the least furthest with 3 laps worth of fuel by doing this method. So let's go through the lap eventually. It's cut on later on because obviously you don't want to watch all 3 full laps. But here we go, coming to the end of lap 1 now. I'm going to just look at the lap time, and this will probably be one of the faster laps of the whole test as we're pushing max on this run, and it's a 1:23.9, so probably one of the faster laps on this run. So we're going to get later on to the end of lap 3 now. So this theoretically should be the kind of last full lap, and we should run out on lap 4 because we've only put 3 laps worth of fuel in. So that was the fastest lap now, a 1:23.2, but now we should run out of fuel on this next lap, lap 4, as we're coming through here towards the left, the tight chicane left-hander here, and we're still pushing out as much as we can, going to the full rev limit. And as we come through on the right-hander now, we're actually going to run out of fuel just on this straight. As we come through now, we're going to overtake a car here in practice at Catalonia, but there you go, we have now run out of fuel. So we have run out of fuel about halfway to maybe 2/3 of the way through lap 4 there by pushing to the max. Now here is our second lap. This is our second test lap. Now on this lap we're going to be saving to the max. So we're going to be doing lifting and coasting. We're going to be using lower revs, higher gears where we can, and generally just trying to save as much fuel. That is the aim of the game, not to go fast, but to save fuel on this lap. So this theoretically should be the slowest kind of lap test, the 3-lap test. But it should also be the one where we go furthest, distance. So, we could theoretically make lap 5. I don't know. We'll have to see how we go. But, we'll see how we go if we do finish lap 5 indeed. But we're coming through there to turn 2. We're going to cut later on into the run now. Now, this is cutting onto lap 4. And this will be coming up to where we conked out on the first run. So just about here, this is when we ran out of fuel on that first run where we're pushing to the max. We've comfortably got still enough fuel to keep on going on this all-out saving lap test. So we're going to keep on going, and we cut onto lap 5 indeed. So we have made it to lap 5. But this is actually where we conk out then. Coming up to this next right-hander, we can see Vettel just there getting in the way. But as we come through the right-hander, this is where we run out of fuel here just about now. So there we go. We've run out of fuel here on this max fuel-saving lap. So here's where we got to on lap 5. So we got through to the next lap by fuel saving, but we didn't quite make the whole 5th lap. So we did get pretty far actually compared to that all pushing out lap. Not quite a full lap more of fuel by fuel saving to the max, but we made it go quite long. Now here's the third lap. Now this third lap, we're simply going to be lifting and coasting. That is the only difference between this and the first test lap. Lifting and coasting, that's it. Other than that, we are pushing still as hard as we can. But coming into the braking zone, if you don't know what lifting and coasting is, by the way, that's essentially when coming in towards the braking zone. Before the braking zone starts, we're going to lift off the throttle, let the car just roll through, let the aerodynamics of the car drag the car down and start to slow it down naturally just by the drag of the car, and then we're going to start braking much later than we would if we were accelerating that whole time. So that's what lifting and coasting is. It's a well-known method to save fuel and just generally keep momentum up and general efficiency of the car. So that's the only difference between this and the first lap, just lifting and coasting. So we're going to see how effective lifting and coasting is. So we're coming up to the point on lap 4 now on this third test run where we ran out of fuel on that first lap, that all-out lap. And remember, the only thing we're doing is lifting and coasting. So we're already saved more fuel than we have on that first lap simply by just lifting off the throttle and braking a bit later, going to the braking zones. But as we come to the end of lap 4, this is where we conked out. So we got, we've nearly finished the lap almost. So we probably made about a third more of a lap here at Catalonia on this third run than the first run, simply by just lifting and coasting. So that's all, that's all we did, lifting, coasting, and we got a third more of a lap of fuel in there. So now this is the final lap, and this is the one where we're just going to be sticking to the beeps, sticking to the rev limiter. So whenever the lights on the bottom right corner of the hood go to purple, I'm going to do my best to change up as soon as it goes purple, or even a tiny bit before. And that's all that's different from the first lap. We're not going to lift and coast, we're going to brake normally, we're going to go really nice and deep into the corners, maybe lock up, we're going to go normally into the corners and try and push in the corners. But what we're simply doing is changing up when we see the purple lights, so sticking to the beeps as the drivers would in real life. We've heard time and time again engineers tell, Ricciardo and stuff, stick to the beeps, respect the beeps. This is what we're doing. We're respecting the beeps and we're changing up when it says to change up on the car dashboard, and that's theoretically will save us some more fuel. So now we're coming to lap 4 and we're coming again through to the point where we ran out of fuel on that first lap. Remember, the only thing we're doing differently is sticking to the beeps and changing up when it goes to the purple rev limiter light, and we're already ahead of that first lap. We're going to continue on and we're actually going to overtake the third lap test. So it looks like the kind of way of sticking to the beeps is a better way to save fuel than lifting and coasting. So it definitely looks like if you're thinking of trying to go fast but also save fuel, the best way is to simply just stick to the rev limit beeps on the hood and don't try and lift and coast. It looks like the better way is just to stick to the beeps. But as we come through here on lap 5, we don't quite make it towards where we ended off on run 2. This is where we ran out of fuel. Pretty close to where we ran out of fuel for the second run where we're saving all out. So it looks like compared to that, lifting and coasting doesn't do that much compared to sticking to the rev limit. So now we look on this next screen now. This is the direct comparison of all the different runs. So you can see down below there's a key there. So red is our first lap, the max push lap. The second lap was the lift. The second lap was the max save lap. That's the yellow one, max save, and then that's in yellow obviously. And then the purple one, the yellowish pink one, is the lift and coast one. So that was the one where, compared to the max push one, we simply just lift and coasted. And then the last run, the fourth run, compared to the max push, all we did was stick to the rev limit. So as you can see, we got up to lap 4, around halfway through the lap on lap 4 by pushing to the max, and then by lifting and coasting, and that's all we did versus max pushing. We got a bit further, nearly finished lap 4. Then by sticking to the rev limiters and hitting the beeps simply, we got passed through to lap 5 and just started lap 5, got through to turn 2 basically, and then by max saving for fuel, lifting and coasting, and obviously hitting the beeps, respecting the beeps, we got a bit further into lap 5. But as you can see, there's not actually much difference between hitting the beeps and going full all saving and lifting and coasting. So that shows me that lifting and coasting is not as effective as a fuel saving measure as is just sticking to the rev limit, going to lower revs, using higher gears on this F1 game. So what it looks like to be is that if you want to save fuel but still go fast and go some distance, the best way is to just stick to the rev limit, respect the rev limit, hit the beeps, and don't bother trying to lift and coast. It looks like lift and coasting really doesn't do that much. I mean, it has done quite a lot compared to max pushing, but you're going to get a lot further by just simply sticking to the rev limit. As we go into this next screen now, we can see now we've got the total lap times over 3 full laps. So obviously over these 4 different fuel runs, we managed 3 full laps on all 4 cases. So I've taken the lap times of the first 3 laps and put them together, combined them, and so you can see in first place obviously is the one where we're pushing to the max, going past the rev limiter on the dashboard and going to 15,000 revs, and we're pushing, no lifting and coasting at all, just pushing like we would be on F1 2013 if we were trying to save fuel. Just put it in lead mix. That's the only thing we did to save fuel, and we went the fastest with 4 minutes 11 seconds. And now the next second highest was hitting the beep. So simply by sticking to the rev limit, we actually saved a lot of fuel because we went to lap 5. So that's about 2/3 more of a lap we went than pushing to the max by just hitting the beeps, and we were relatively close to the pushing max kind of lap time on the first 3 laps. So I think we already come to the conclusion the best way, the most efficient way to save fuel is simply by sticking to the rev limit, still pushing as hard as you can, but sticking to the rev limit. You don't have to lift and coast or anything like that, just stick to the rev limit and you'll still be going fast and saving fuel. The next best was lifting and coasting, and then the worst obviously was max saving. So it looks like, as I just said, the most efficient one is that second one, just sticking to the beeps. As soon as the lights go to the purple on the rev limiter, change up, don't go over it, try your best to stick to the purple lights and changing up, and that'll be the best way to save fuel, but at the same time still going relatively fast. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you found that video helpful, then do give it a like, comment below on what you thought. If you're confused at all about the test, then do comment that below. I know I've said quite a lot, and there are a lot of different variables on each run, and I've said quite a lot of information about fuel saving and how the engine works in this game. So if you have any questions for me about that, then do tell me, because obviously I have access to the preview code of F1 2014, so I can test things out even more for you guys if you want me to, and I can answer questions because I know this game now for quite a bit. I've done at least 5 hours of the game so far while making this video, so I can answer lots of your questions about fuel saving and whatnot. So again, if you did enjoy that video, you did find that kind of helpful, I hope it does help you guys for career mode and online league races when you get this game in a few weeks time. If you did, give it a like, comment below what you thought, subscribe if you're new for weekly F1 content. I'll be bringing more F1 2014 content in the next coming weeks. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I've been aarava, and we'll see you guys next time.